Yo, 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 yo. What's up, all you burners, stoners, and potheads out there? This is Weedman420 with the Weedman420 Chronicles. How are all you vipers doing out there this evening? Mrs. Weedman, how are you?
I'm doing well.
Doing well?
Yep, I am.
That's great. I'm super stoked. Do you want to know why?
Why?
Because we're going to smoke a strain we never smoked before in a minute here.
It's a Seattle strain.
Seattle strain. Actually, Lake Stevens, Washington strain. So I'm super stoked about this strain. It is called XJ13.
So this is one of the ones I bought when we were just in Seattle.
Yes,
Off of
another
the clipboard.
one. Another one. So Mrs. Weedman is going to light up while I read a little bit about the XJ13 strain.
Okay.
Light it up, Mrs. Weedman. Light her up. This is a sativa hybrid, 25% THC. It's the THC content. It's a cross between Jack Herer and the famous governmental seeds I got out somewhere, G13. It was bred to produce a flavor unlike anything you may have tasted before. How's it taste, Mrs. Weedman?
Tasty.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It smells fucking fantastic.
Nice.
It smells like incense.
Yeah.
It has a pleasurable taste, which is spicy and sweet at the same time. However, you will note hints of lime and pine while smoking the strain. It's true when they say XJ13 is every wakened baker's dream. The smell is extremely potent with funky undertones. There is more to the taste and smell that meets the eye. It adds more to the classic taste, all the while being hazy and pungent. After smoking the strain, the high kicks in almost immediately. You will feel powerful due to its lifting effects. The cerebral effects are well endowing, as you will feel a body buzz unlike any other. It is perfect for individuals who are suffering from anxiety and depression. However, there is much more to this than the countless medical applications. XJ13 is also known for keeping your creative juices flowing. You will find it easy to converse with others and will make you even more fun for you to hang out with others. The effects, like I said, are creative, energizing, euphoria, happy, uplifting. It relieves symptoms of ADHD, ADD, bipolar disorder, chronic pain, depression, fatigue, headaches, which you said you had before we started the show, insomnia,
You better smoke some of that.
muscle spasms, PMS, and stress.
I think I just need this stuff in my life. I typically take one hit, and I happen to just take 4.
What?
Well, little ones, because it's you're starting a joint, and it's like, well, I didn't really taste anything yet. I gotta take another one. No, I still didn't taste it. I'll take another one. So, bear with me, because I might get a little crazy. It's nice. I didn't taste it until that 4th hit, though, because I needed like one good drag of it.
Yummy.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do one
Smooth.
more. We'll see how this takes
Doesn't
us.
burn. Yeah. I tasted the pine, but not, it wasn't like that overkill of that citrusy, piney flavor. It was kind of nice. You're not going to put that out?
We're gonna let it
Mr.
incense
Weedman's
for a
just
minute.
letting it burn.
We're
Don't
gonna let
waste
it burn
that.
for a minute.
I'm really concerned. Sounds like the perfect medicine.
I'll put it out. We have two.
Yeah.
We have 2 joints though. They gave 2 half-grammers in the tube, so
Oh,
it's
we
almost
wasted
out.
stuff.
I didn't waste anything.
I think we did.
Hey, we watch a show called Kim's Convenience.
I think we've talked about it.
Yeah, I think we've talked about it before. It's on Netflix. We really like this show. We burned through the first. It's the new season. We burned through the first 4 seasons like I said, it was nothing. It was funny. 22 minutes per episode. It's a really funny show.
Wait, this would be like a spoiler alert because we're going to talk about this season.
Well, I'm only going to talk about the one episode. We're not going to talk
Okay.
about the whole thing.
Yeah, don't go into detail.
The name of the episode is called Cookie Monster. And it's an episode where the mom has to go to the doctor's office. She has a medical issue. I'm not going to tell you what it is because I don't want a spoiler alert. And her daughter gave her a THC cookie. And it was in her bedside. Well, the husband took her to the doctor and wound up finding the cookie in the dresser drawer and ate it, the whole thing.
He thought it was just a cookie.
He thought it was just a
Of
cookie.
course. Classic story,
Yes,
right?
classic story. He ate the whole thing. They go to the doctors, and all of a sudden they start talking about the cookie, and the wife, who is Uma, and then the father is Appa, and Uma goes, "How much of that cookie you ate?" He goes, "The whole thing." And her eyes just drop. She goes, "Oh yeah." She goes, "Sit there and don't move. You're gonna feel funny in just about a few minutes." So meanwhile, all of a sudden the cookie starts kicking in. And he starts getting a little paranoid. He starts thinking people are talking to him and trying to steal his jacket. It was kind of funny. And she gets out of the doctor's office. They go home. I guess there's a video. The daughter videos the dad like being all goofy and having fun, being all high, and he's not he's very serious individual. I mean, most of the time it was kind of funny, and just seeing the video of him in his clown suit with Pringles in his eyes, it was hilarious. And I'm gonna let you take over and tell the ending. Though when it was the next morning and the daughter was talking to the dad Appa about cannabis,
Right.
and they were arguing back and forth, and then Uma came out, and what did she say?
So a little like before the scenario, the daughter had cannabis, and they had a son who was kind of a troublemaker in his high school teen years, and got into some trouble with weed. So when the father found weed in Janet's room, the daughter's room, he said, "How could you do this to me? We don't have that in our house." And she's like, "Appa, it's legal. It's not against the law anymore. I can have it." He's but that could have ruined our lives. Your brother, how could you do this to me? You hurt me so much. Flash forward. Now all of a sudden he's eating a cannabis cookie from the wife's stash because she's has a medical thing going on. So she asked Janet to get her some. And so now after this doctor's appointment, now the dad has consumed cannabis, unknowingly. And then he's goofy, and the daughter calls him out for being goofy while he's on it, like he actually had a good time. And he's like, "Oh, okay." And so the mom comes back into the story and says, because the father's like, "This is bad. This is all bad." And the mom turns around and said, "You say it's bad? Fine. You think it's bad for her? Fine. But I am me, and it is good for me, and I'm going to use it.
And it's
And
my
that's
choice.
My choice." And that's the end of the story. And he just kind of went, "Oh. Okay."
We went
Yeah.
too. We thought it was powerful.
It was like awesome. Yeah. Because really, it's just a personal choice.
Yes.
And so it was just a good moment in a TV show. It was cute. They did a really good job with it.
Yeah, it was
Super
awesome.
cute.
It's a great show if you haven't watched it. It's really funny. It's
Easy watch.
Yes, 22 minutes long a show. It's great at the end of the night when we're super baked and don't want to watch anything too serious and we want to laugh. It's a great show to laugh at. So good episode though, talking about cannabis. So it's Pride Month.
It is.
Yeah, still we're going at it, and happy Pride Month to all you out there in the LGBTQ plus. Mrs. Weedman's gonna talk about
Weed, and is weed gay? Well, I've never thought about it that way, but in this article, it's pretty interesting. Throughout American history, and particularly during the last century, the place of cannabis and queer people in society has shifted dramatically. Through it all, the strong bond of queer culture and cannabis culture has remained. While both cultures enjoy a good activism moment, they also are human beings who want to socialize, relax, create art, and find communities where they feel safe and seen. For many queer people, cannabis usage fits closely to an ethos of living life separate from strict rules of society and the judgments of more conservative social norms. It's part of not only how queer people unwind and relax, but how they indulge, bond, and socialize with other queer people and with sexual and romantic partners. Cannabis companies have taken notice too. In recent years, cannabis companies have increasingly marketed their products towards queer consumers and offered deals and special products during the Pride season. However, the Pride-exclusive nature of many of these marketing efforts leaves much room to grow year-round. With over $5.4 trillion in global purchasing power and a clear passion for cannabis.
Yeah, that's global though, because last time we read it was $900 billion in the United States.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, queer consumers are going to continue to grow as a priority for smart cannabis brands. So why is cannabis so popular in queer circles? Well, once upon a time, both cannabis use and queer identity were seen as immoral, outsider behavior in America. Instead of abandoning what and who they loved, many people adapted and changed the country forever. Counterculture icons like the great beat poets of the 1950s and the punk musicians of the 1980s rejected traditional gender roles, sexual mores, and of course, cannabis prohibition. As the counterculture movement grew with both LGBTQ people and cannabis lovers, the creative arts would play an important role in furthering the influence of queer people and cannabis enthusiasts alike. Both cannabis and queer culture are linked to some of the most important art movements in America and global history. Jazz, one of the most influential movements in American music, has a history that is rich with queer artists. Cannabis was equally influential in jazz, so much so that joints gained popularity and the nickname jazz cigarettes through their prevalence in the scene. On the art scene, we find more connections. Frida Kahlo, one of the most influential painters of all time, was not only a bisexual woman, but also used cannabis while creating her masterpieces and for her body. The prevalence of cannabis and queerness among respected artists helped bring respect to both cannabis and queer people. The 1960s saw a rise in rebellion and self-expression that would embolden many young queer people and cannabis enthusiasts alike. In California, the hippie movement kickstarted many underground queer magazines and pulp novels. In New York, the influential visual art scene featured an abundance of queers, like art legend Andy Warhol and David Hockney, as well as a rich cannabis culture. Queer musicians of the 1960s, like Janis Joplin, were increasingly speaking freely about their love of cannabis. The art, fashion, sound, and style found its way into the mainstream of suburbia and made a huge impact on the artistic sensibilities of a generation. In the 1990s, the club kid scene in New York was steeped heavily in not only the groundbreaking creativity and vibrant expressions of queer artists, but also the freedom of psychoactive experimentation. The scene's celebrities like RuPaul would go on to become massive cultural figures, transcending the underground scene they originated in and influencing fashion, music, and television for decades to come. Without queer artists and the carefree, creative energy that many artists find in cannabis, visual arts, music, literature, and film might not be quite as vibrant or free-spirited as it is today. It was through art scenes like these that the queer people were able to become icons, and cannabis began to be seen as a tool for creativity instead of a vice. As we have progressed as a society in the later half of the 20th century, both queer life and cannabis consumption started to be less taboo. The Hays Code, which made it illegal to show representations of queer people and drug use in film, was repealed in the 1960s, and more queer representation made its way into the mainstream. Increased representation helped change the public perception around LGBTQ people and cannabis alike, forever shifting pop culture. Young people today are more likely to support cannabis legalization and LGBTQ rights. This is in part because both queer people and cannabis users have been humanized in pop culture. Throughout history, your life could be destroyed if you are outed as gay. Throughout the 1950s and 60s, police would raid suspected LGBTQ bars and establishments and publish suspected queer people's information in newspapers. Isn't that horrible?
Yeah.
The information could destroy families and careers and lead to isolation from one's relatives, friends, and religious community. For many queer people in conservative areas in the United States or in more conservative countries across the world, being outed can still pose a very real threat to livelihood and physical safety. For generations, both the cannabis and queer community have survived on the basis of trust. For queer people, their social groups are a place where they can explore their gender presentation, express their desires, and live with dignity. They are a natural, safe space for enjoying cannabis without fear of judgment or punishment. Not all queer people enjoy cannabis. Not all queer people want to be around cannabis. Not all queer social circles are an appropriate place for cannabis. But when the two meet up, they form a unique environment where queer stoners can relax and feel safe among friends. And for queer people across the globe, that is a gift. Cannabis is core to queer culture. Their path to legalization and political acceptance mirror one another. In healthcare, cannabis is an important wellness resource for queer people. Socially, cannabis has gone hand in hand with the way they create art, the way they relax, and the way that they find comfort in a community of like-minded individuals. The story of queer people and cannabis is about more than history or medicine or art or socializing. It is also a story about survival. about community, and about their will to live in ways that feel authentic and true. If you're queer, celebrate pride by rolling up a joint like our forefathers, foremothers, and forepeople. And if you're an ally, smoke out your queer friends. And by the power vested by this byline, if you're a homophobe, let's hope someone sells you some dirty ass oregano this Pride Month. So, kind of fun.
Good
Pretty
article.
neat. Yeah.
I think the woman's name is C. Merton, and she's a Chicago-based writer. And
C. Merton.
yeah, Merten.
It was a good article.
Yeah, really good. So we had to read that because it was so well written. And
Yeah, that was just a June article on Leafly.
Yep. She had to talk about that one. That was good. It was very well written. I'm feeling pretty good. Like,
I feel clear though. Like my mind doesn't feel.
Yeah.
I don't feel funky.
not at all. I'm like
My body feels
floating.
like
Yeah, like really good.
Yeah.
Like
I definitely feel different.
different.
But my mind feels clear. I don't feel incapable of speaking.
Oh shit.
I feel actually very clear-minded.
We've talked about the entourage effect on this show a few times. Paulie did a great job. I think it was like one of our second or third episode. He talked about the entourage effect back when we first started, and but as we find out more, and as Paulie had spoken, and we've talked about the entourage effect as he's spoken, it was very early research. More research needed to be done. And as I read more about it, there's more stuff coming out about it. And the term entourage effect is commonly used in cannabis news articles. And it doesn't mean a group of people who love weed or those who are cannabis enthusiasts. The term is used to describe the synergy between the combination of different chemical combinations in cannabis. The entourage effect is about the interaction between THC, CBD, as well as other terpenes and cannabinoids. So we've talked about the basic terms. Cannabinoids interact with the body, endocannabinoid system, a system made up of chemical parts called the endocannabinoid and receptors in the body. The endocannabinoids and receptors aid with regulating the different body functions that include appetite, sleep, and pain. THC is intoxicating. This is the cannabinoid that causes a high that I'm very high right now, that many users feel after ingesting or inhaling cannabis. But CBD is not intoxicating, which explains why it's gaining a lot of popularity in the medical world. Many patients want to use cannabis for medical purposes, but don't want to feel high. Now, the question is, do THC and CBD offer more extensive ranges of therapeutic applications? In some cases, they work well together. And we're about to discover why this is the core of the entourage effect. Terpenes. One of the things cannabis enthusiasts find exciting with weed is how flavorful it is, as we discussed in the joint we were just smoking. The aroma that hits your face and warms you up when you open a cannabis container. It's just blissful. Oh, yeah, it is, baby. Do you know what is responsible for the fragrance? It's terpenes. Good old terpy terps. Terpenes are aromatic, flavorful compounds found in cannabis and other plants and spices, fruits, and herbs. And not only just the kind we smoke. From a hint of pepper to lavender and even pine, terpenes offer a burst of flavors and aromas like no other compound will do. In cannabis plants, terpenes grow inside the resinous glands of the plants. This is called the trichome. The terpenes use their scents to protect the cannabis plant from predators, as most plant cannabis cannot handle the scent and flavor from the plant. Your mom couldn't handle the plant outside.
We were sitting on our back porch surrounded by two very beautiful cannabis plants that are about as tall as me, which isn't very tall. And my mom stopped by for a visit. And we had a glass of wine amongst the cannabis plants. And she's like, I think I could say I don't really like the smell. I'm like, what?
You were like,
what? But maybe you're not smelling it right. No, she was like, no, I just don't. It just kind of smells like a skunk. And I'm like, yeah.
That's
yeah, it does. but she wasn't loving it. So I've decided it's kind of like cilantro. It's a love or a hate. You don't want to smell it, or you want to smell it.
Having the 3 plants in the tent and having the 2 plants outside.
We're doing both right now.
Yes. The smell of going outside and putting my face up towards the plant is so much different than the smell in the tent.
Because the fresh air is moving
it's
around.
just how many times a day you see me out there?
Yes, all the time. Checking on the chill. We had a tornado warning come through our neighborhood last night.
Yes.
And so for the first time since our kids were little, we got serious and got in our basement and got some basic supply, important stuff, and brought it down. And where is he going? He goes back upstairs. They're saying, at 11:33, it's going to be over your house. And at 11:32, he runs up the stairs. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, the plants.
My babies.
The babies.
My baby.
And he not only goes upstairs, but goes out on the back porch to cover his poor little babies.
Cover him. I hit him.
Yeah. We can grow more.
Those are 3 months old.
We did not get a tornado.
Those are 3 months.
And Mr. Weedman didn't fly away either. How about that?
Oh,
How
man.
about that? Those I know that the plant,
My
you put a lot of work
my
into them.
plants.
Come on.
Well, they're safe. But anyway, how the entourage effects work. We know that terpenes and cannabinoids offer particular effects on the human body. But what happens when you mix different cannabinoids or combine terpenes and cannabinoids? As easy as the question sounds, the answer is not easy, which means combining CBD and THC doesn't mix the effects of both compounds. Instead, CBD and THC can interact with each other and other cannabinoids and terpenes to produce a synergy called the entourage effect. Some people wonder which mixture of terpenes and cannabinoids is best for treating some health conditions. Cannabis had a much slower start because of many years of the stigma received from societies, which led to prohibition. These years of stigma delayed the research into the entourage effects. Entourage effects with terpenes. Dr. Ethan Russo presented a seminal research paper titled Taming THC, Potential Cannabis Synergy, Phytocannabinoid, Terpenoid Entourage Effects. His paper is critical in understanding the entourage effect, and the summaries from its studies show the therapeutic effect of cannabinoids and terpenes. Every terpene is distinct with chemical composition, with every one of them offering something different. Some cannabis strains also contain various terpenes, which makes it complicated to know which cannabinoid terpenes mixed with elicit an entourage effect. For instance, Dr. Russo also argues that the data shows that myrcene is the main sedative terpenoid in cannabis, and, while combined with THC, will produce a form of the entourage effect. So if THC, when mixed with myrcene, has some potential for entourage effects, only can one wonder what the other kinds of combinations is possible. Mix that magic. Entourage effects with cannabis. A study into the effectiveness of THC on how it reduces cancer-related pain versus CBD and THC are combined discovered something interesting. The results shows that THC and CBD combination displayed good effectiveness, unlike THC used in isolation. The results are exciting and promising because they provide additional evidence of how the entourage effect can combine different cannabinoids. Aside from amplifying the energilistic properties of THC, CBD also produces another very fun cannabinoid, entourage effect. The results are shown through how it reduces the psychoactive effects of THC. The process for how it works is also complex because CBD interacts directly with your body's CB1 receptors in a way that also affects THC's ability to bind with receptors. That also is important to remember some examples of entourage effects when cannabinoids are combined, but most cannabis strains that are selectively bred made to optimize THC and CBD content. So very little is known about the other cannabinoids. There are more than 118 cannabinoids, which means there is magic to be made in all different types of scales. Just mix them together and see what happens. 118 cannabinoids. Total, yes. But
how many have been studied? Like 3?
We've only discovered like 20.
CBN, CBD.
Yeah, so... And there's so many different terpenes, too. Remember, we discovered one that I had never seen before that's in our strain?
It's going to get so interesting.
It's going to be so much fun. And what's cool is you got an article that you're going to be talking about here next. So bottom line, One of the most striking things about the entourage effect is that it reinforces the idea that cannabis has a lot of potential. In the future, as we learn more about cannabis plants, we will know if it provides additional and impressive benefits for users. We have discovered the value of CBD and THC separately, but now the world is eager to know. How much more is there to discover with combinations of CBD and THC? The question will hopefully drive extent of future research and test trials that will boost the positive impact of the entourage effect.
For sure.
I mean, I've been talking about it all along. And just like I said, as I find more articles to talk about and read and do research, I'm going to keep on teaching you, and we're going to keep on learning, and we're going to keep on growing, right?
That's right.
That's right. But now we found out about how there's going to be a tool that we talked about. Somebody stole your idea.
I know. That's my problem. I need some cash flow. I need some capital so I can make my ideas
You got a
become
lot of
my
them.
realities.
Got
Because
a
I
lot
just
of them.
share them with the wrong people, and then they do.
Well, talk about what the idea that we had talked about.
Yeah, we talk about this quite a bit here. That maybe if you went back to old, in the 10s and 20s, our episodes, we would have talked a lot about indica sativa. Then at some point we started talking about hybrids, where it's a mixture of both. And then we started talking about CBD heavy blends that maybe just had like one active part THC. So you still get the psychotropic effect, which then gives you a better, they say, benefit from the CBD instead of just straight CBD from a hemp plant. And then we started phasing into the latest trend of getting your cannabis based on your outcome. What do you want to achieve when you smoke? And then that's how we're going to pick the strain that you're going to smoke today. Because more and more they're learning that really, there's an indica plant. Yeah, there's a sativa plant. But they both can give benefits the opposite of what you expect. Right?
Yeah.
And so let's study more about the plant and what the most common results are from smoking it, and then give people the benefits to help them choose what they want to smoke, which is super duper cool. And that's how I shopped when I was in Seattle, and I got exactly what I was looking for. Pretty neat.
This strain we're smoking is pretty legit.
Yeah, it's sweet.
They got something, I mean, I like this strain. This is
really
like
great.
every Wake and Baker's dream.
The bud tender there said that was his favorite grower.
Yeah, but this, whatever this.
Right. He said you can't go wrong with any of it.
XJ13. Poof.
Yeah. So anyway, Columbia Care, they launched a tool to discover cannabis based on mood, activity, and more. The tool is called Forage, and it is a cannabis discovery tool designed to make product recommendations curated based on your mood, activity, and consumption preference. By leveraging strain data and user-reported outcomes via a proprietary recommendation engine, Forage seeks to change the cannabis shopping experience by providing unmatched and streamlined personalization to customers. The interactive web-based platform suggests curated products depending on the user's desired mood and experience, and syncs with their local dispensary's inventory and pricing to enable online orders. Pretty sweet. Whether you're a first-time user or a self-professed expert, Forage can help guide you on your cannabis journey. With more states continuing to legalize cannabis, the development of a platform like Forage is a pivotal shift in the retail experience for Columbia Care and the overall industry. Jesse Channon, Chief Growth Officer, I like that, Chief Growth Officer
I love that.
of Columbia Care, said, as we welcome new customers to our dispensaries, both seasoned connoisseurs and those who have never stepped foot into a dispensary before, Forage provides a new level of personalization to cannabis shopping through a fun and comprehensive digital interface that was developed around their needs and priorities. Channon explained. We are continuing to make strides in creating an innovative retail experience to enhance our interactions with new and existing customers and patients. So, I don't know. I mean, it's software. So I would imagine that it's proprietary, and you could start seeing this all over the place. It could be global. It's just software. It's pretty neat. So I mean, imagine you're traveling. You go to a state that's legal. You head over to, say, I don't know, give me a legal state. Ohio.
California.
Oh, that's old.
But Ohio's
Okay.
only medical.
Okay, so you go to California and you're like, well, when I'm home, this is what I smoke. This is how I want to feel. Click, click, click. You put your info into this little app, and the app tells you this would be the great strain for you. And here's dispensary A, B, and C that carry it. Have a good day. Boom. And now you just drive your little car over there, take an Uber, whatever. Or in California, you can get it delivered.
Actually, Uber's going to start delivering. So
Yeah.
one
So
day.
pretty cool. Pretty cool.
It's pretty awesome. I think it's awesome. It also
Smart.
pivots into different businesses, and
Pretty neat.
it's great. Great. We talked about it. Somebody stole your idea.
I know.
I'm just
I'm
kidding.
sure I'm not the only one with that idea.
Well, obviously.
Just the only one who acted on it.
Quickly, too.
Right.
So proud of Connecticut right now. When you listen to this or after this, Tuesday, 6/22/2021, Connecticut is going full legalization. The governor is signing it. So if you listen to it when it comes out or after, he signed the bill.
Tomorrow?
Yes, 6/22. He's signing
Tomorrow.
it, which is pretty dope. But what I thought was cool is he said he'd even smoke it.
The governor?
Yes.
He's gonna get
Once
high.
it's legal. Good for him. I'd smoke the hell out of it.
Why not?
He's open to using it himself, is what he said. So some of the laws that I figured, like I always try to read for the states. So Connecticut, of course, you got to be 21 and older to possess 1.5 ounces of cannabis starting on July 1st and establish a retail market. Legislative leaders anticipate sales would launch in May of 2022. Regulators with the Department of Consumer Protection would be responsible for issuing licenses for grows, retailers, manufacturers, and delivery services. Social equity applicants would be entitled to half of those licenses. He almost also didn't sign it because there was stuff in that bill that didn't do anything for social equity, and he had them rewrite it to add more stuff in there. So it was
That's
pretty cool. Yeah. Equity applicants could also qualify for technical assistance, workforce training, and funding to cover startup costs. A significant amount of tax revenue from cannabis sales would go towards broader community reinvestment, targeting areas most affected by the war on drugs. Home cultivation would be permitted first for medical cannabis patients and later for adult use consumers. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Home cultivation. Nope. Most criminals' convictions for possession of less than 4 ounces of cannabis would be automatically expunged beginning in 2023. Beginning July 1st, 2022, individuals could petition to have other cannabis convictions erased, such as possession for cannabis paraphernalia or the sale of amount. They should just expunge the paraphernalia. Come on, just why they got to wait till July 1st of 2022? Just write a pardon. You're all pardoned.
Goodbye.
That's all you got to do.
Go home.
Pardoned. And then go get your shit erased off the computer. That's all you need to do. The smell of cannabis alone would no longer be legal basis for law enforcement to stop and search individuals, nor would suspected possession of up to 5 ounces of cannabis. Sweet. Absent federal restrictions, employers would not be able to take adverse actions against workers merely for testing positive for cannabis metabolites. Rental tenants, this is always a big one. Rental tenants, students at institutions of higher learning, and professionals in licensed occupations would be protected from certain types of discriminations around legal cannabis use. People who test positive for cannabis metabolites would suggest past use cannot be denied organ transplants or other medical care, educational opportunities, or have action taken against them by the Department of Children and Families without another evidence-based reason for the action.
Wow, that's powerful.
That's a big one right there. Cannabis-related advertising could not target people under 21, and businesses that allow minors and their premises would be penalized. That's cool. Licenses who sell to minors would be guilty of Class A misdemeanor. Adults 18 to 20 years older who are caught with small amounts of cannabis would be subject to a $50 civil fine, although also other violations carry a $150 fine. Mandatory community service.
Perfect.
So, yeah, teach them a lesson, and then they'll go smoke it again. For $50.
I mean, they got to have some rules, right?
Yeah, of course.
It's like alcohol. It's
yeah.
actually more lenient than alcohol laws.
Very. Minors under 18 could be arrested for simple cannabis possession. A first offense would carry a written warning and impossible for to youth services, while a third or subsequent offense or possession of more than 5 ounces of cannabis would send them into juvenile court. Local government could prohibit cannabis businesses or ban cannabis delivery within their jurisdictions. Municipalities with more than 50,000 residents who need to provide designated area for public cannabis consumption. Cool. Until June 30th, 2024, the number of licensed cannabis retailers could not exceed one per 25,000 residents. After that, state regulators will set a new maximum. Cannabis products will be capped at 30% THC by weight for cannabis flower, and all our products except pre-filled vape cartridges at 60% THC. Those loose limits could be further adjusted by regulators. Yeah, you need to get that up to like 70, 80 when it comes to the... you just need to let it just go. Don't... I mean, there's a lot of medical patients that need higher THC. The state's general sales tax is 6.35% and would apply to cannabis, and additional excise taxes based on THC content would be imposed. Existing medical cannabis dispensaries could become hybrid retailers. Pretty big fees. Licensing fees for social equity applicants could be 50% of open licensing fees. Applicants would need to pay a small fee or enter a lottery. The state would be allowed to enter into cannabis agreements with tribal governments. Sweet. Good for fucking Connecticut, man. You know? So, local cannabis decriminalization efforts launch in Ohio, South Carolina, and West Virginia. Ohio is trying to help South Carolina and West Virginia get this done. So, I mean, let's hope they do it because, I mean, just decriminalize it. No one needs. Nebraska, cannabis activists plan mass-scale medical cannabis campaign for 2022 ballot. Not with that governor in there. What's his name? Dickets? Whatever, I don't know. California offers $100 million to rescue its struggling legal cannabis industry. The California legislature on Monday approved a $100 million plan to bolster California's legal cannabis industry, which continues to struggle to compete with large illicit pot market nearly 5 years after voters approved sales of recreational use. Los Angeles will be the biggest beneficiary of the money, which was proposed by Governor Newsom to be provided as grants to cities and counties to help cannabis business transition from provisional to regular licenses. California voters approved Proposition 64 5 years ago. Many cannabis growers, retailers, and manufacturers have struggled to make a transition from the provisional temporary license to a permanent one renewed on an annual basis, a process that requires a costly, complicated, and time-consuming review. Oh, my God. There's a lot of competition in California, for one, and the illicit market is still pretty big, and there's a lot of people that home grow. They have their license to grow at home. I mean, and you have a lot of people that are probably growing their own and still probably trying to buy it from their plug. Who knows, you know? I don't know. So, GM needs workers so badly it might ease drug testing policy.
That's smart.
Yeah. I mean, people need to go home, and especially in Michigan, it's a huge market there, almost 390 dispensaries, almost 388 or some shit like that they got there. I mean, there's a lot of cannabis in Michigan. A lot of caregivers, a lot of home growers. Yeah, and they all can home grow 5 plants if they want. Would you rather them?
And the auto industry is big. And,
well, that's what I'm saying. But would you rather them go home and take painkillers because they're tired and they can't sleep, or and drink alcohol? Or would you rather them smoke some weed and get up fresh for work every day like we do? You know. So I don't know. So GM, that's good though. I mean, is it only because they're short workers right now? Who knows? Texas governor signs medical cannabis expansion bill. Added a couple more ailments to it. Not many. Louisiana governor signs cannabis decriminalization bill to law. That's pretty good. Florida Supreme Court kills another cannabis legalization ballot measure for 2022. They were trying to do it again. Every year they're trying to get it on the docket, you know, to legalize it recreationally in Florida. And it just, who knows? I'm just, ugh. Maine lawmakers approved bill to decriminalize all drugs on the 50th anniversary of Nixon's war on drugs. That's pretty big. Because the 50th anniversary of Nixon's war on drugs was just a few days, not too long ago. It was last Thursday. So, as we all know, Richard Nixon declared a war on drugs, and congressional lawmakers are seizing the day to demand for reform. A historic bill to end the drug war by criminalizing possession of all currently illicit substances was formally filed on the anniversary, and text has been released. The lead sponsors were Representative Bonnie Watson Coleman, a Democrat from Nebraska, I think. No, Jersey. Cory Bush, Democrat, Missouri, previewed the proposal during the virtual event earlier in the week. So there was a lot of news on this. I mean, there was a lot of people talking about ending it. They were showing statistics of all the people that have been in jail, the different colors, races, population versus even other countries. It was crazy, man, all these stats that were coming out about it. And so it's just being proposed and co-sponsored, and they're talking about it. Who knows, man? I mean, so we'll see. And then also President Joe Biden voiced support for ending incarcerations for low-level drug cases. So we'll see if it happens. So cannabis equity advocates propose changes to federal legalization bill to stop big business takeover. We've talked about big business and big weed, and it's going to, I mean, hopefully this happens. Hopefully they can fight for it, and they can, work on not just all going to the top 5 companies, eventually, like you see with every other product.
The way that it's going is, we've talked about this. It's just the opposite of how other businesses grow. We're used to seeing things grow from a micro business to a corporation and then get bought out by a
Who's
bigger
to blame on that, though? Is it the states?
It's because...
Is the states' laws the way they made the pricing for everything to only...
No. My personal opinion is that you took something that was completely illegal, but so many people still used it. So people knew there was a market for it. And people knew that the laws had to change, right, for it to become legal. And as people who believed in cannabis became advocates for cannabis and then sought out legal help to support the push to legalize cannabis,
right,
I think that the lawyers started saying, shit, they're onto something. I'm going to tell my buddies about this. Like, think about this, what big business is involved. And then it just became all of these highly educated people that were on the other side, creating the new laws, passing the new laws. So you had all these attorneys that were in the face of helping change these laws and getting on board with why they should change, and then realizing like they've got the pockets to make this happen. And so, yeah, it is how the laws were created, because the way that the laws were created limited how many of these businesses can happen anywhere, right? But they had to.
In Illinois.
But they had to, because federally we're still illegal, right? So there's all of these weird workarounds. And so I think it was just like the wealthy people created a ticket for themselves to make some money by the laws that they created. I do think there's going to be a day, because people who have been negatively affected by the war on drugs have a voice, and they may not have the capital to get these businesses started, and that's why they're getting left out. Their voice can be bigger than their pockets, and their voice can change things. And eventually, these companies are all starting to realize, like, they're not going to get away with just making shit tons of money and not giving back to the people that have been disparaged by the laws of the war on drugs. And so they're realizing that they can't be in the legal market selling money or selling weed and making millions of dollars and not give back to the communities that have been just crushed by the war on drugs. So I think in the big picture of things, it started really big. It just started the opposite of what we're used to, and it's going to scale down as the laws allow for it, and as the voices get louder in the communities that have been negatively affected. You're going to start seeing laws put into place so that more people can get their hands in the game. And you're going to see the neighborhood pot shops. It will get there.
You've been saying that for a while.
And I think there's going to be neighborhood bake shops.
You should take another hit of that weed.
I got to take a breath.
You should take another hit of that weed.
I just think we're going to get there, but people just need to keep speaking to make that happen.
Yeah. I agree with a lot of that. I mean, stuff.
There are some good organizations, and there are some good corporations out there that have realized they have to give back. And there's some that have been giving back since the beginning for social equity, but there's a lot of work to be done. And we're going to get there, because the voices of those affected are going to keep speaking. So that's my opinion.
Your 2 cents, take it or leave it.
Yeah, I should smoke more of that.
That's up to you. I was just saying, though, you should smoke. That strain should be like on your smoke list,
That's
like
good.
All the time.
My words were working. I think I can write a book right now.
It says you get creative on this.
Mm-hmm.
So, billions in black market cannabis still selling in Illinois 18 months after cannabis is legalized. Well, my opinion, and this was like all over the news. I mean, articles a lot. People were posting it all over Illinois stuff. It was crazy. when you're selling $80 eighths because of taxes, and you're selling $90 cartridges to $100 cartridges because of taxes, and prices are through the roof for recreational because of taxes. Let's just be honest. I mean, the taxes are higher than hell for
You pay almost the same amount in taxes you do for your product.
Right. And as you see, medical sales are slowing down.
On the rec side.
No,
right?
medical sales.
Medical side, we get a little discount on.
But sales are slowing down.
Right.
The last couple months, the overall medical sales have been down. Rec is still up, but rec, more money's coming from the outer states coming in and buying rec and going to their states that are illegal. Prices are high. I don't mind spending good money on really good quality weed. I'm not going to say all the weed I've gotten from a dispensary. And like I said, I'm med, so I don't pay that, but I see what other people pay.
I just like knowing what you're getting. But
True,
the
100%.
But the taxes have to adjust because the black market's just going to keep thriving.
That's what's going to happen. So, still over $1 billion in sales in illicit market. And I'm not saying
How do they keep track of that? It's illicit.
By busting and how many pounds they would bust in a year versus how much there's probably still in the streets.
They've got statistics.
Yeah, I'm sure I could look it up, but I'm not going to right now. The Weed Maps CEO, he isn't afraid of Amazon.
Yeah?
No, he's saying that he's actually newly publicly traded also, said that the tech giant, he knows he's going to get into cannabis. I'm baked, but I'm saying he knows that Amazon's going to get into cannabis, and he's not afraid because what he's saying is what he does is totally different than what Amazon does. But Amazon owns so many fucking different companies. I mean, just their sales day today that everyone was talking about. I didn't go and shop today.
I don't even know what that meant.
Yeah, just they were offering all these different items on discount, certain items.
Oh, I hate those kind of sales.
So, but he said what they do is totally different from what Amazon does. But Amazon can create whatever the fuck they want. So, but he's saying that they're not afraid of Amazon. They're going to keep on doing what they do. So that took some balls. That's all I got to say. Took some balls for him to say that, to go after one of the most powerful companies in the world, and he got some.
Does Weed Maps intend to be a delivery service, or
show?
Or do they do that in some places?
No, I don't know if they tell you who delivers and who doesn't.
Okay.
I mean, you can go anywhere in the country and there's a Weed Maps. You take your app out and you can find dispensaries. You can find out what's on sale, what they have, all that stuff.
Cool.
It's a good.
And it's all user-based data.
Dispensaries can load it into their system, or Weed Maps works with them. But they just went public too. I think their stock is like $20 right now. So, I didn't buy any though. So, we like seltzers.
Yeah, we do.
I do. I drink a lot of seltzer.
Yeah, but we don't truly like. Well,
no, I'm not talking about alcoholic seltzers. I'm talking about
like seltzer.
I like club soda, just straight up club soda with a squeeze of lime.
I like LaCroix.
I like LaCroix too. What flavor? What's your flavor?
A friend had black raspberry, and the can was so pretty. I want to buy it.
Oh,
I haven't seen it yet.
I'd probably
that
like
was pretty. I'm assuming it's pretty tasty.
I like the lime. I like a lot of different flavors.
Orange.
Orange is great. They're all good. I've never had
coconut when you're sitting by the pool.
That's the one I didn't like.
You're drinking suntan lotion.
Tastes like suntan lotion. That's right. It's the only one I didn't like. But I do like LaCroix. I do like seltzer. But I've also tried a seltzer, THC seltzer, like 3 years ago.
Yes, we did.
Out in California. There was a company that started making seltzers back then, and now the seltzer raise is just like the seltzer and alcohol. You're going to see cannabis, seltzer, and spirits coming down the line. Mrs. Weedman, take it away.
So I've got an article about that, and it is about the rise of cannabis, seltzer, and spirits, which gets you high quicker than edibles. In a world where people socialize around beverages, replacing your beer with a weed gummy isn't going to cut it in certain situations. Popping a piece of candy doesn't exactly have the same ring to it as cracking a cold one. And cannabis edibles are usually dosed at around 5 to 10 milligrams of THC, the psychoactive compound in weed. That amount could leave some consumers feeling overwhelmed or couch-locked. As cannabis grows in popularity and more Americans are considering cutting back on booze, the founders of Can, with 2 N's, Seltzer, wanted to create a weed drink that people could easily incorporate into their social lives, a carbonated social tonic, dosed at 2 milligrams THC and 4 milligrams CBD. So I think that's super cool. And we are always talking about how the downfall of edibles is that they taste so damn good that it's really hard to eat a dose. So making things smaller doses, but a larger piece that you can consume, or a full can with only 5 milligrams versus like when some brands came out, they were like, it was like 12-ounce jar and it was 100 milligrams. So you had to like take a tiny little sip and put it back in your fridge, and it would go bad before you could ever consume it all, unless you were like, drinking it all day. So anyway, this is pretty cool. It is really intended to have in your hand and drink throughout the night. 2 milligrams of THC. That's super easy for even a non-consumer. That would be a really nice entry level amount of THC, and the CBD's in there too. So it kind of mellows out any extreme feelings that you might get from the THC. It's a heavier CBD. So they say here that the addition of CBD, a non-intoxicating cannabinoid, is meant to round out the experience. So instead of a spike, it's more of a plateau. Can co-founder Jake Bullock told Insider, the compound blocks some of THC's intoxicating effects for a milder high. What we did is we took the dosing way down, and that unlocked the social potential of the product, Bullock said. If you really think about what makes a glass of wine or coffee social, is that you drink it and it doesn't totally incapacitate you. While Bullock and co-founder Luke Anderson are chasing a cannabis, other weed beverage creators like Dixie have infused elixirs at higher doses. Cannabis cold brew and weed-filled wine are also on the menu, and the industry is just taking off. If you've ever had a bad experience with a pot brownie, you know edibles can be unpredictable. Typically, edibles are metabolized in the liver, which turns THC into a more potent compound called 11-hydroxy-THC. The process takes some time, so edibles are known to kick in 30 minutes to 2 hours after ingestion. Cannabis beverages, on the other hand, start to kick in the moment they touch your tongue. When you take cannabis as a water-soluble liquid, the THC absorbs into your bloodstream through the tissue of your mouth, esophagus, and stomach. The result is a quicker onset, so you won't be left wondering, am I high yet? And preemptively up your dosage. If anyone asks us, how high does this get me? It's the strength of a light beer or a glass of wine. But instead of getting drunk, you get high, Anderson said. And for how many you should have, check in with yourself, just like you do when you're drinking. He added that a first-timer could probably have 2 cans and feel great, while a more experienced user might opt for 3 to 5 over the course of the night.
I talked to somebody, to Colin, wish him a happy Father's Day, a friend of the show's, and I said, what'd you do? He goes, oh, you know what I did this weekend instead of my normal Father's Day where I feel like shit the next day because I drank too much? I drank cannabis seltzers.
Oh, cool.
Probably one every like hour or half an hour. And I drank like 4 of them, and I felt great. I had only 2 beers, and I woke up feeling great this morning.
Sweet.
I
love that idea, because part of it, like if you're out in a social setting, you might want to really smoke, but maybe everybody there isn't smoking, so you don't, or you feel uncomfortable introducing it. Or you don't want to be like super high when nobody else is, because to me anyway, I that makes me uncomfortable. So I'm going to drink. Now I end up drinking because everyone's drinking, and I'd prefer not to. So the idea of having a cannabis beverage, but like a really low dose that I can, while my friends are sipping, beer and wine, I'm sipping my cannabis drink.
Yep.
It sounds amazing. Low dose, and get a nice little buzz going.
Yep.
Well, beverages only make up about 5% of cannabis edible industry, according to BDS Analytics, a cannabis market insight firm. But the overall edible market is growing, Kelly Nielsen, vice president of Insight and Analytics, told Insider. And if the success of companies like Cann is any indication of the drinkable sector, we will continue to expand as well. Up-and-coming pot drinks run the gamut, from a new generation of spiked seltzers to dissolvable drink packets that you can use to spice up a cocktail. While some companies sell stronger brews, most beverage brands are coming out with low-dose products and many combine CBD and THC for a more balanced experience. They're coming into the market with low-dose types of products, Nielsen told Insider. Even Keef Cola started at 100 milligrams of THC per container, so you almost had to take shots of it rather than enjoy a whole beverage. Nowadays, Keef is down to 10 milligrams a can, still a strong dose by many standards. Beverage packets from Stillwater and Purana range from 2.5 milligrams to 10 milligrams a dose. With various doses to choose from, consumers can focus on finding a tasty drink to sip on. It kind of goes without saying that taste is a driver, Nielsen said. But if you're going to have to take one bite of a mint or a gummy, you'll probably have a little bit more leeway with the taste and flavor than you do with a beverage that's designed to be consumed over time. So they're assuming they're going to see better quality because you're not just having a little bite. You're going to drink a whole beverage, or you're going to eat, maybe it's a whole cookie that's only 5 milligrams. So they have to really focus. And there's some really tasty products out there.
Yeah.
There really are.
Yeah.
A lot of home cooks that make some great stuff. But this whole idea of kind of low dosing everything is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I love edibles. I've been drinking some of the seltzers.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty fucking good.
Yeah.
Nice buzz. You can just drink that. And
I tried a sample of a seltzer that didn't have, they can't give you samples if there's THC in it. So it was a non-dosed sample. So it was just the seltzer, and it was really tasty. So I can only imagine how good it'll be once the THC is in there.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Malaysian princess aims to free cancer survivor Dr. Ganja from possible death sentence over cannabis. This doctor was caught making chocolate bars and brownies because cannabis helped him, and he got arrested. So this Malaysian princess and the Last Prisoner Project are trying to get him out of prison. So cannabis and hemp to kickstart Argentina's economic recovery. Well, let's see. Beautiful country one day. I'd love to go see it. Young boy pleads with Nicola Sturgeon for cannabis prescription for brother. This young man, Dean Gray, 13, will stand outside Bute House in Edinburgh at 11 a.m. with a copy of a letter that he was written and delivered to the First Minister. His brother, Murray, 8, used to have hundreds of seizures a day, but he has not had a single one for more than 2 years since starting medical cannabis. Campaign by the family. What is the family's name? Alfie Dingley, 6, who has severe epilepsy, in 2018 helped secure access to medical cannabis under prescription in November of last year. However, despite the legal change, there has been only 3 NHS prescriptions for medical cannabis issued across the UK. Other families with similarly affected children have had to pay privately for the medicine at a cost of £2,000 a month. In his letter to the minister, Dean from Edinburgh explains the difficulties of the situation his family is facing, and he argues that they shouldn't have to add worry of finding extra money each month, some £1,300 to meet the private medical cannabis bill. He hopes that his letter will encourage the First Minister into action and help the other affected families in Scotland, many of whom campaign under the End of Our Pain banner. I'm writing to you about my little brother Murray. He is 8 years old. He used to have really bad seizures. I hardly spent any time with my mom. 2 years ago, she was always in the hospital with my little brother, Dean told the minister in his letter. This took a toll on me personally, and I didn't fully understand what was going on and felt anxious for my brother. He has not had a seizure now in 2 years, and my mom got him cannabis oil. This means I get to spend more time with my mom and my brother, which I love to do. She's having to pay £1,300 every month for this medicine. I don't think it's fair for my mom and dad to pay this. Please, can you do something to help? The plea by Dean, whose grandparents Irene Gray and Rod McNeil from Bonus are regular readers of the National, coincides with 3-year anniversary of the landmark decision on June 18th when the Home Secretary said he granted Alfie the first individual long-term license to use medical cannabis in the UK. To mark the occasion, Alfie's mother, Hannah, has also written to the Prime Minister urging him to intervene. Alfie is one of the 3 NHS prescriptions. In her letter, she outlines the transformation effect that have been the NHS prescription has had on her son and condemns the persistent failings of the government and NHS structure of the devolved nations that see nearly every other affected family having to raise thousands of pounds a month. So, in the letter, she writes, it soon became clear the legal change was, however, well-intentioned and a complete failure, with families still denying access to an NHS prescription. Oh, man, I hope my friends out there hear me. Fight for that young man and all the families that need it. The Australian cannabis market is opening up 5 years after landmark legal changes. It's still a little difficult for some businesses, but it looks like it's starting to open up more and more. I got some pictures people sent to me, some of their home grow out in Australia. Looking pretty nice out there, guys and gals. If you saw someone toss a bag of weed off of like a roof, would you just leave it and walk away, or would you grab it and run?
I'd just grab it and be happy and be like,
but would you run?
I don't know.
Well, these New Yorkers.
Not if nobody's around. I just walk and feel like I got a big bag of weed.
So it was a garbage bag of weed that was tossed off a roof in a foil drug deal. And a bunch of New Yorkers grabbed it and ran.
Yeah. That's pretty funny.
We love our furry friends, our dogs. We finally got to meet our grand dog, Rue.
Yes.
Yes. But since weed is becoming legal in all these states, and you can't get really arrested for it in a lot of states, and we're not going to need our furry friends as much anymore, the pot-sniffing dogs.
Yeah, I know.
You know?
So, actually, they're retiring a bunch of them. So pot-sniffing dogs are enjoying an early retirement. Oh, cannabis legalization is creating job opportunities around the around the country, but one career field is taking a hit: canine dog units. Once a centerpiece in the war on drugs, drug-sniffing dogs are quickly becoming a relic of the past in states where cannabis is legal. In Virginia alone, state law enforcement leaders plan to retire 13 dogs, and smaller city police and sheriff offices plan to retire 1 or 2 dogs, according to the Associated Press. Some agencies plan to buy and train new dogs who will only detect drugs that remain illegal, including cocaine, heroin, and methamphetamines. In some cases, law enforcement is bailing on canine units altogether because the cost of buying and training a new dog is about $15,000. In Cumberland County, Virginia, Sheriff Daryl Hodges told the AP that his office recently retired a Belgian Malinois named Mambo. His department won't buy another dog because of the lack of funding. You work with them day in and day out, and they become part of you. And to just take it away is kind of tough, he said. However, Mambo is doing great after getting adopted by one of the officers. The dog is actually living a wonderful life. He has his own bedroom and a house and is being spoiled rotten, he said. Getting to live at home with their handler, the officer they work with on the force, is frequently a destination for retired police dogs. For example, 6 cannabis-detecting dogs who retired in Okaloosa County, Florida last year all went to live with their handlers. Drug-sniffing dogs face retirement because cannabis is just one of many drugs experts train dogs to detect. With cannabis legal, it makes a big difference if a dog detects an illegal drug and it turns out to be cannabis, not heroin or meth. We don't use our dogs trained in cannabis because that could be a defense an attorney could raise for a client to say, which odor did the canine alert on? Was it cannabis or was it an illegal drug? Bedford County, Virginia, Sheriff Mike Miller told AP. Once trained to detect cannabis, it's next to impossible to get dogs to stop detecting it. I had no idea. So that's why they have to retire them, because they can't retrain them. Right. You know, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Obviously, a dog can tell the difference between they cannot tell the difference between illegal amounts of cannabis or a smaller legal amount. So the trouble came that these dogs are trained to smell all 3 drugs, and they don't really differentiate between any of them. So now you're just going to have problems, right? So pot-sniffing dogs are increasingly obsolete, at least in terms of a working job. In terms of a living life, it's hard to imagine dogs aren't spending time in a loving home rather than helping track down people possessing pot. And it might be for the best anyway. As a famous Chicago Tribune analyst said a decade ago, drug-sniffing dogs were accurate only 44% of the time. That's crazy. Dog experts believe this is primarily caused by handlers unwittingly cueing the dogs to alert them to the presence of drugs. So, interesting.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, they're still going to go to a good home and live a very good life.
Yeah.
So.
Those dogs are beautiful.
I would just let them sniff cannabis all day long. just
Give them
sniff.
CBD treats.
Sniff. Go sniff. Hey, I lost my weed. Go find it for me.
Like the like viral videos of the dog that goes to the fridge and gets a beer.
Yeah.
The canine dogs will go get you a joint.
Go give me my jar,
Go
will
give me
you?
a joint.
Paul Pierce, former Boston Celtics player, NBA Hall of Famer, is launching his own brand of cannabis in Massachusetts. He is pretty excited about it. He says that athletes don't even know what they take in the pills that they're given, and the league doctors just say, take this, take that, here's a prescription. We get addicted to stuff. It's so harmful for your body, you don't even realize your liver and all your organs are taking a pounding. He's dealt with depression and sleep issues a lot, and he said cannabis really helped him, and hopefully he can help others with his brand and get people to understand what cannabis is. So good for you, Paul Pierce. Remember, like, the height of COVID started? What was the big rave on Netflix that everybody was, like, watching? Remember Bigfoot, my brother, wearing the outfit, walking
Oh, my
around?
God, the lion guy.
No.
The tigers.
Tiger
Tigers.
King, Joe Exotic.
Oh, jeez. Oh, my God, that was such a blink
That was, like 6 months to 8 months
of madness
everybody.
about everything was all about them.
Oh, my God. It was
And
all
then it
over.
just died.
Yeah, and it's good. Who cares about
them and their illegal businesses.
Oh, and just that woman too. All you cool
Carol.
cat kids out there.
Cookie Carol. She buried her husband out in the zoo.
God.
The lions ate him.
So he's got a 22-year.
They never found him.
No, they didn't. He's got a 22-year prison sentence.
Oh shit, he does.
Joe Exotic, yeah.
For having illegal animals.
I don't remember what it was. Tax evasion. I can't remember the fucking show.
Sorry, Joe.
Most of the time I was baked watching it. So, but anyway, he's planning to launch his own cannabis product line, and
from jail.
According to TMZ, Exotic, whose birth name is Joseph Allen Shervabigavogel, and later changed his identity, became Joseph Allen Maladando.
What?
Yes, so he's partnering with Tango Hotel Charlie Group and Canna Exis Ltd for launching Joe's Exotic
what
Cannabis.
Is the name? It sounds like a military.
No, that's the
radio.
people he's partnering up with. Tango Hotel Charlie Group, LLC, and Canna Exis Ltd for the launch of Joe's Exotic Cannabis.
I wonder if some military guys are involved.
I don't know.
So they're going to create this brand?
Yes. So it's a new business venture for him. The Joe Exotic Cannabis line will include CBD edibles that will be sold in dispensaries throughout California, Colorado, and Oklahoma. Exotic reportedly agreed to become involved in order to help people who use cannabis for medical treatments, and share of his profits will be funneled to nonprofits caring for captive tigers. That's cool. Exotic received his prison sentence in January. Well, who cares?
I don't know what weed and tigers have to do with each other, but you know.
He tried to get out of jail. He tried to get the president to pardon him, and that worked. So, but I don't know. I think it's funny.
Yeah, it's funny.
It's Joe Exotic. Oh, God.
Shit, Joe can do it from jail?
Anybody can do it from anywhere.
Yeah.
He can do it. But he also had people, probably because of his name, invest in him and stuff like that. So, I mean, to use his name, it'll be Exotic brand, whatever. It'll be flashy.
It's going to have tigers on the packaging.
Probably. Some,
Rawr. Maybe he can't by law.
Oh,
the animal rights activists, which they should, put a stop to him being able to use the tiger persona.
Yep.
No more tiger prints for Joe.
No more nothing.
Nothing tiger.
Nothing. So, but good for him. That strain was really nice. That strain was really, really nice.
Yeah, it was good.
It was good stuff.
That's good for me.
You liked it?
Yeah. I feel like I could run around.
Hey, everybody. We just, Father's Day was just this weekend. Happy Father's Day to all you dads out there, and to all you single moms out there, all your single dads out there. Happy Father's Day to everyone. Uncles, grandfathers, everybody who was a dad. We love you all. Just happy Father's Day. I had a good Father's Day. My kids actually gave me something of like substance. Like, just didn't buy me something. They really thought it out. Got me a new thermos. What is this one called? I forgot what the hell. The hydro flask. It's pretty nice. I always wanted one, and I got one. Pretty excited about that. And I also got, what'd they get me? A cold brew maker.
Cold brew
Man,
maker?
they really put some really good thought in my gifts.
Oh.
Thank you, O-Dog and Polly. I appreciate you. And Shoddy, too. So, but I appreciate both of you thinking of your pops and thinking of something that I needed that I wouldn't have bought for myself. Isn't that weird?
That's great.
Yes. So I thank you both, and hopefully all
The
your
best
dads
kind of gift.
and moms out there got gifts that they wanted, or just got a hug and a card that told you they loved you. So, right?
Happy Father's Day, Dads.
Happy Father's Day, dads. That's it.
That's
Show's
it.
over.
Wee.
Man, until next time, everybody. We love
We'll
you
be
all.
back.
Got anything to say, Mrs. Weedman, before we go?
No, I got nothing.
Perfect. Hey, everybody, we love you around the world. Peace be with you all. We love you. As Paulie always says, smoke smart, puff, puff, and away.
Puff, puff, pass.